Welcome to Weaving Happiness Through Grief, where we navigate the delicate balance between love, loss, and the resilient heart. I'm Stephanie, an author and storyteller who found joy and healing after the unimaginable heartbreak of losing a once-in-a-lifetime love. This podcast dives into the raw truth of grief, the beauty of cherished memories, and the hope of new beginnings. Through my journey, rediscovering happiness and opening my heart again, I've learned that grief and joy can coexist, and love can find us when we least expect it. Join me as we honor the past, embrace the present, and step boldly into the future with courage and vulnerability. Let's celebrate the resilience of the human spirit and the beauty of living fully, even after a loss. Welcome back. And continuing with talking about overcoming adversity and finding resilience within yourself, one of the things that really stands out for me was after I graduated UCLA for my undergrad degree, I applied to go to law school. And for whatever reasons, it wasn't in my card to get in the first time. So the first time I applied to law school, I didn't get in anywhere at all. I applied to, a handful of different law schools, and not one took me. So I didn't look at that like, oh my gosh, I can't get in, it's not meant to be. I just thought, no, this is what I want. I'm gonna figure out another way. This is gonna work. So I took a job, saved some money, tried to figure out how I was going to pay for law school, get it back into law school. One of the things I did was worked at a law firm and reapplied to all the same law schools, got back into law school. And not only did I get back in, but then some of them offered me scholarships and some of the same ones that rejected me the year prior. So point is tenacity. It's something where I thought, this is what I want. I'm going to make it happen one way or the other. So I got back into law school. At the time, my brother was also very ill. So when I got into law school, my brother was still ill, of course. His cancer was quite the long, 12 years to be exact, of battling cancer. For me, his time with him was so crucial. So even though I was in law school and that was a top priority for me, I did not want to lose the time with him. One of the law schools I got into was Boston College, and they offered me a scholarship, and I went out there and I saw it, but he was so ill, I decided it wasn't for me, because being so far away, I just felt like I couldn't possibly be close to him, and if something happened, I wanted to be right nearby. So I chose to stay in LA, and I went to law school here. But my brother and I still were so tight, our whole childhood. I mean, we were so tight. He taught me all about so many things, not just through his cancer, but I wanted to play tennis. He said, all right, if you're gonna be the best tennis player, which is what you wanna be, you're gonna have to beat me first. I'm gonna take you on the courts, and I'm gonna teach you how to play. I think I was right about 9th grade, just starting high school, when we moved back to LA after my dad got out of prison. And we moved back to LA for my dad's work purposes. And my brother said, I'm gonna take you on the court every day. When you can beat me, then you will be the best that you can be in your high school division. So this is what happened. And through those 4 years of high school, he played me, beat me on the tennis court time after time, relentlessly for hours every day, until one day I beat him. And sure enough, shortly down the road, I did become the CIF, my division in high school. And it was the #1 tennis player in that division. And it was fun and wonderful. It was a time in my life, but it taught me so much. When I got into law school, and my brother now was ill, I struggled with finding that balance. It was really hard for me because law school was so important. It's what I really wanted. And part why I went to law school is what happened to my dad. I knew that we didn't have that knowledge on what to do to get him out. So that was part of the reasoning behind me wanting to go to law school. When my brother was ill and I was in law school, I did focus too much time on spending time with him because that was so important to me. And so what happened is my grades were not where they should have been. I was just shy of the bare minimum, and they kicked me out of law school. I decided that was not going to happen. I still wanted to be a lawyer, but I also wanted to find that right balance. And I was 22, 3 years old at the time. And I figured I'm going to figure out a way to get back into law school. And I didn't know how, but through different resources, I applied to another law school nearby, went to law school there, got back in and excelled. Not only did I excel there, I was top of my class. I really focused more on school, but still maintaining that relationship and time with my brother, because that was, again, extremely important to me. Shortly after that, Ninth Circuit U.S. Court Judge, Judge Ferguson for the the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, hired me to be one of his law clerks. And so I did that in my last year of law school, and it was an incredible experience. I tutored first-year law students, and years down the road, I went back and was a professor at that same law school. I was very grateful for them to accept me, even though I had just been kicked out of a law school. I'm in my last semester of law school. It was April. To be exact, it was April 30th, 1995, and my brother's illness got extremely intense, to the point where I spent most of my time when I wasn't in school and I wasn't in classes and I wasn't studying, I spent it with him. And he didn't live too far away, so I was at his home a lot, or at the hospital, whatever I could do to be with him. And we didn't have cell phones then, or we were just getting them, I think, at the time. So the interaction needed to really be one-on-one, personal, and some phone calls. It was April 30th of 1995, and it was about 10 to 14 days shy of my end of my law school exams, right before I was getting ready to take the bar exam, and my brother passed away. He was 26 and I was 30. And one of the things I recall about my brother, and this was so important, and I didn't know how important it was until almost this moment, well, I'm realizing it right now, is he was in the hospital, and we were over at Hogue in Newport Beach. That was the last hospital stay he had. And his whole life, he helped train me. He helped nurture me and guide me all along the way. He's laying there in his hospital bed. By this point, he's paralyzed from the waist down. And I was massaging his legs and his arms and just trying to comfort him in any way. His back, his head was in pain, and he had cancer in his brain and his spine, and it was quite extensive. It had been metastasizing for years. And he looked over at the nurse, just kind of in his very peaceful state, and he goes, "This is my baby sister, Steph." He said, "When she was little, I would always take care of her. And now, I can't do that anymore. And so here she is taking care of me." I will never regret those times I spent with my brother, even though it meant I had to get back into law school, although that was my own doing. It had nothing to do with him, it was my choice. But those are moments where I would never get that time back. And I realized later on in life that time was so crucial, so important. And I'm so grateful that I made the time to be with him, because it was it made such an impact on my life, and I just didn't realize it in those moments. The bar exam started days after his funeral. Or I'm sorry, the final exams of law school started days after his funeral. Then the bar started shortly after that, and that was at the end of July, I believe. And the bar exam didn't go so well for me. I was quite not in the right headspace, as one can imagine. And I did not pass the first time. You don't find that out until November. You have to wait until November for the results to come out. At least back then we did. And so again, I thought, okay, you didn't get into law school the first time. You got kicked out of law school, and now you didn't pass the bar exam. You're going to do it again. You're going to be a lawyer. This is what you want to do. Your brother taught you. Give it everything you can. No matter the result at the end of the day, we're going to give it everything, and you will accept the outcome. So I thought, I didn't really give it my all. I knew my head wasn't in the right place. So the next bar exam was in February. Got the results in November. Took the exam in February and passed it with flying colors. And finally, finally I became an attorney, which was a huge goal for me to get to that place. I had a lot of unexpected things happen in my life that I didn't plan for. Divorce was one of them. I loved my husband. We had a wonderful marriage. We had 2 great children together. Things happened along the way, and it didn't go as planned. And that's something that it was just not a part of the plan for me, not knowing it at the time. And that marriage did end. My brother's passing, extremely unexpected at such a young age. And 2 other girlfriends of mine, one in her 40s and another one in her 40s as well, I think just shy of 50, passed from cancer, and one had an aneurysm. These were unexpected losses, including the divorce. I didn't go into marriage thinking I'm going to divorce, so to me, it was a grief. Losing my brother was a level of grief and loss, and losing my friends were as well. And when I lost Jeff, that was a whole nother level. And ironically, my brother's name was also Jeff. And the love of my life, Jeff, was also named Jeff, of course. And the irony of, again, God's plan that I saw, didn't see it coming, but I can see now looking back on all those stepping stones and those things that happened along the way. It shaped me into who I am. As we close this episode of Love, Loss, and Creating Life Second Chances, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of remembrance, resilience, and rediscovery. Loss is a path that none of us choose, but together we can walk through it, honoring the love that was and of the life that still awaits us. If today's story touched a part of your own journey, know that you're not alone. Grief, though profound, doesn't close us off from joy. It teaches us how to hold space for both love and loss, and sometimes it opens our hearts to unexpected new beginnings. Join me next time as we continue to explore healing, acceptance, and the beautiful, bittersweet moments that remind us life can still be filled with happiness. And remember, while we honor the love that has shaped us, we open ourselves to the hope that the future holds. Please head over to the show notes to find out more of the ways I offer guidance on the topics I discuss in this podcast, or visit thestefanieduran.com. Until next time, take gentle steps forward, hold your memories close, and know that joy and love in all its forms continues on.